Hey everyone, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Okay, folks, quick look at the Bitcoin chart. We are still in no man's land, sideways chop hell. We are not seeing any type of price action. Bitcoin did move up to about 70K, I believe, earlier today and even yesterday, but there's no definitive move to the upside or downside. And of course, bears are calling for a further downside. There is the possibility that a relief rally continues up to about 80K before rolling over, but we're going to have to wait and see. As we've been highlighting with the macro uncertainty of the war and, Trump posts something negative, it could send markets tumbling. So it's a really tough time in the markets, but look, it's the bear market and there's certainly accumulation opportunities here. And this is where you have to have the long-term view on what's happening in the markets because even the stock market is seeing weakness. And I anticipate that we could see further downside for both the stock and crypto markets. But of course, that's not going to be the case forever. There will be a bottom and we're going to start moving back up into a bull market. So patience is the key here. Now, folks, very big statements coming out from SEC Chair Paul Atkins. He was speaking at a summit today, in fact, the Digital Assets and Emerging Tech Policy Summit, which was held in collaboration with Vanderbilt University as well as the Blockchain Association. Well, he said the SEC will propose a reg crypto for token fundraising soon under the 33 Act, talking about the 1933 Act. It will be open for comment as well. Atkins says we will soon have innovation exemption for use of DeFi under the 34 Act. So the SEC and the CFTC are front running the Clarity Act, right, which is stuck in the Senate right now because we're still waiting for a banking stablecoin yield compromise. But that's not stopping the agencies, which would have had to do this rulemaking anyway, right? Because the Clarity Act would essentially give the mandate. But they're doing it ahead of time, which is really, really bullish and really great. So things are moving ahead on this front. And I think having these agencies provide the guidance, regardless of where the Clarity Act is very important because the agencies like the SEC and the CFTC, they do the enforcing, right? It's not so much Congress passing a bill, it is the agencies who have to take action. So the fact that they're giving this clarity is really great. Many of you may recall recently the SEC gave clarity on which crypto assets are securities. They gave 4 categories, right? And they also talked about tokenization guidelines that will be coming soon. So really great stuff here. Eleanor Terrett gave some definitions of what reg crypto means. She said it refers to a proposed capital raising exemption in the Senate's version of the Clarity Act, Section 103, that would create a new exemption under the Securities Act of 1933. It is designed for crypto projects that want to raise funds from investors, distribute tokens, and work toward decentralization. So this is a key guideline here, guys, because this goes back to why Ripple was sued and all the stuff that went on under Gary Gensler, even before Gary Gensler with Jay Clayton and much more, right? So this would be the pathway for many companies to launch their own tokens. And I anticipate we're going to see big companies launch their brand tokens, new crypto projects coming out. They register with the SEC. They do what they got to do on how much money they can raise. If there's a cap on the amount of tokens, all that stuff, right? We obviously need the details, but this is really good. This is going to allow for more innovation. Eleanor says the new reg crypto exemption would contain a bespoke disclosure framework and a cap on fundraising. According to Paul Atkins, the SEC is working on its own version through rulemaking while the Clarity Act moves through Congress. So obviously we need the details, but I know Chair Atkins, Hester Peirce, and the team there, they're working in good faith to find the balanced regulations here. And, I've had many guests on the podcast where we talked about the meme coin type of setup. I wonder how they're going to regulate that, even though they said that's not a security. In addition to, what are the fundraising models that could come out of here and how can maybe banks do that or different entrepreneurs or different companies, right? There's a lot they need to define and give information on, but this is really, really important for the future growth of the market. So very, very big news here. Now look at this. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon, he's of course the CEO, sees new competitors on blockchain and stablecoins. Of course he does. But JP Morgan's going all in. They've been building and tokenizing and doing a lot with their own stablecoin, if you want to call it that, the JPM coin, I believe it is. And they have Connexus and much more. So, in his annual share letter on Monday, Diamond identified artificial intelligence, data, and advanced technology as key to the future, signaling a shift toward more automated, data driven financial services. While blockchain and digital assets were not a central focus, Diamond acknowledged that a whole lot of new set of competitors are emerging based on blockchain, which includes stablecoins, smart contracts, and other forms of tokenization. The comments come as JP Morgan continues to focus on its own blockchain initiatives, even as Diamond emphasized that the bank's long term success will depend largely on its ability to deploy AI across its operations. So we know JP Morgan's all in, right? And despite what Jamie Dimon was saying for years, and now in his annual letter, he's highlighting blockchain, stablecoins, tokenization. So we've come a far way. All these naysayers and detractors and all of them have bent the knee. Jamie Dimon, Vanguard, and many others. Folks, this episode is brought to you by iTrust Capital, which makes crypto investing easy via an IRA. In iTrust Capital's IRA, you can invest in over 90 crypto assets, Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, Solana, and much more. And you can invest in precious metals like gold and silver. And you get huge tax advantages for doing so. So if you have a long-term view on these asset classes, you can do it via the IRA and get the tax advantages. You can buy, sell crypto, gold, and silver 24/7. It's low cost, no monthly fee. And if you have an existing 401k or IRA, you can simply roll it over to iTrust Capital's version. Now, with the gold and silver, this is not paper gold and silver. This is actual physical assets that if you want to redeem it, you want to redeem the gold and the silver, you can do that. Not many platforms offer that. So this is a really great feature by iTrust Capital. And they have a great custody option. So it's called Premium Custody Account. It uses the likes of Coinbase Prime, Fidelity Digital Assets, Fireblocks. We know that BlackRock leverages Coinbase Prime. So you're getting top of the line security when it comes to custody, and you can buy and sell 24/7. It's closed loops. If someone hacks into your account, they cannot withdraw your funds. So it's really, really great. I believe it's the second safest way to store your crypto assets outside of self-custody where you control the keys. And it's low fees, guys. So again, institutional grade crypto custody here. So great option both on the investing as well as the custody side. So if you'd like to learn more about iTrust Capital, make sure you check out the link in the description. It's itrustcapital.com/go/thinkingcrypto. If you use my link, you can get $100 funding bonus. So check them out. Link will be in the description. Now, folks, look at this news. Circle is planning to launch CIRBTC, CIRBTC, a one-to-one Bitcoin-backed wrapped token built for institutional DeFi. So Circle, obviously, the second largest stablecoin issuer with USDC, they've been doing a lot of innovation. They're obviously public now. And here's another example of their innovation. So they're doing this DeFi wrapped Bitcoin, and it's for institutions. So really, really great to see this happening. And it's essentially building the bridges for these institutional players to bring in more capital into the market, right? That's what's being built across the globe. Retail already has the access, not only with native crypto firms and apps and exchanges, but also those general investing apps like Robinhood and PayPal and Public and much more. So this is really great. Here's an example of how blockchain is just being implemented globally. China's tax authority urges banks to implement blockchain for lending services. So, despite China's smokescreen of banning crypto and this and that throughout the years, they are very bullish. They control Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is 100% in support of crypto. They have ETFs, they have banking services for crypto companies, and much more. And I believe eventually the ETFs in Hong Kong will be open to mainland China. So let me give you the details here. China's tax and financial regulators on Monday urged banks and local authorities to use blockchain and privacy computing to upgrade the bank tax interaction model and expand financing for small businesses. The State Administration of Taxation and National Finance Regulatory Administration said in a joint policy notice that banks and taxpayers should standardize data sharing and reduce information asymmetry between tax authorities, banks, and enterprises. The report also urges banks to improve credit models, enhance credit approval efficiency, and increase the supply of financing services to honest tax-paying enterprises. The directive aligns with China's broader effort to integrate blockchain into data infrastructure following a National Development and Reform Commission roadmap released in January 2025, targeting nationwide implementation by 2029. Shen Zulin, the deputy director of the National Data Administration, said in a January 2025 press conference that China expects blockchain-based data infrastructure to attract 400 billion yuan, about $58 billion in yearly investments. So across the globe, every country is integrating blockchain in one way or the other. It's what we've been talking about on this podcast for years, that the future capital markets, economies, and governments will all run on blockchain rails. That is where the puck is heading. And to see a country like China, embracing this technology, we know they've already launched their digital yuan, and there were even papers years ago done about they want to make Shanghai a very pro-tech and Web3 friendly city, and they're looking to integrate Web3 technology, obviously blockchain technology. So it's amazing what's happening, and this is why I'm bullish long term. Now, final news item, the future of institutional crypto runs through prime brokerages. So, this is an opinion piece from the chief product officer at Signum, and his name is Dominic Loberger. So, counterparty risk in crypto markets has always moved in cycles. Exchange default or get hacked, standards tighten for a while, then complacency quietly returns as losses are forgotten. What is happening this time is different. Leading traditional financial players entering crypto must adopt practices from established financial markets. For the first time, the infrastructure exists to enable them to do so. They can mirror assets held with regulated custodians onto trading venues without ever depositing on exchange. This is a lasting change in how serious money actually moves through digital assets. He says here the separation of powers, consider the mergers and acquisitions deal flow. Ripple deployed $1.25 billion to acquire Hidden Road. Hidden Road is a global multi-asset prime broker. This was the largest acquisition in crypto history. It signaled that institutional trading infrastructure is where value will concentrate. Standard Chartered is building a crypto prime brokerage under its own venture arm. These are infrastructure bets by firms that see where the market is heading. So I think he's right here, because you're seeing the convergence of crypto and TradFi, and the things we've talked about for years, that the setups, the white glove service, the bells and whistles, the moving parts and components that exist for TradFi will be built for crypto. And that will happen through acquisitions and mergers and things like that. And, the example he gave here was with Ripple, right? And they've been doing a lot with Hidden Road. So it absolutely makes sense. And I think we're going to move away from exchanges. And not to say that exchanges won't exist at all, but just the masses, the billions of people who have not gotten access to crypto yet, they're going to come through these prime brokers and much more. So he said, for most of crypto's history, exchanges have played every role at once. From trading venues, custodians, and clearinghouses, exchanges played them all. That conflation of roles was a necessity in Bitcoin's earliest days. It was never going to survive institutional adoption at scale. So I think he's right. And he referenced, the FTX collapse and the Bybit hack and much more. So I think he's spot on. And, I've given the mock scenario years ago, just for fun, like, Mr. Jones, this is Dan from JP Morgan. You bank with us. We now offer crypto investment. And guess what? You don't have to do anything. You just let us know what you want to invest in, and we'll take care of everything. We'll send you the reports. We'll custody it for you. That's what's coming, folks, right? The banks are going to be calling up your mom and dad, your aunts and uncles and others who, are not necessarily going to go on Coinbase and buy crypto. They're going to go through these institutions that they know. So I think this is spot on. Folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't as yet. Be sure to support the podcast by subscribing to my free email newsletter on Substack. It's 100% free. Grab a copy of my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And check out my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything you need to know about Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, and much more. It features expert commentary. And folks, we got a big bear market sale going on. You get 50% off the price of the course. Use the code BEAR, BEAR, at checkout and get that 50% off. So again, comprehensive course that teaches you everything you need to know. Knowledge is power. So check it out. Go to mycryptocourse.com. All of the links will be in the description. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.